I got the blues. I got the blues all night. Oh, yeah, yeah. Why, hello there. You didn't know I sang the blues, did you? You wouldn't know it, would you young punks? Anyway, we got a superstar blues musician on the show today. I can't believe it. I even wore my bow tie, even though you can't see it. I made cup of soup just for him. But hey, I hope he talks more than that Bob does, because Bob was a bum and this guy's a star. It's Rod Bland. Rod Bland on the Outdated Wrestling Hour. Hey, old timer, get your feet off the stage. You bother me. Hey, everybody. My name is Bob Smith. You remember me from Pro Wrestling Illustrated, don't you? Why would you be here otherwise? You may be questioning why you're here after you hear what the show is about, but I'll tell you what. For me, this is a very special edition of the Outdated Wrestling Hour, and I'm so glad you're here. We have a music superstar in our midst. And I just have an hour-long interview with him, and we let it go, and we talked about not just music, but also wrestling. And it's a revelation because this gentleman knows as much about pro wrestling as anybody I've ever met. It's astounding. But this show means a lot to me. When I got back into wrestling in 2021, it was a part of my life that I kind of put in a drawer, my wrestling years. When I left PWI, I didn't want to leave PWI. And it was always kind of a sticking point in my brain and my soul because it was like I got the rug pulled out from under me. I really didn't know where to go. A couple of wonderful people like Colin Bowman with WCW and Sandy Krebs and Bill Apter, they kept me going for a little while. But the more I did it, the more I didn't want to do it anymore. I thought PWI was going to be my career for pretty much the rest of my life. It didn't work out that way. But at the very moment I was leaving that magazine company, some astounding things happened to me, and I started a music career that was legit. Was I really, really famous? No. Did I get rich? Not hardly did I get rich. But I'll tell you something. It was worth every moment of it because you know what? It was legitimate. It was good music, and I played with some amazing people. The first album I ever made was produced by the great session musician Larry Mitchell, an incredible guitar player. Eventually, I had albums produced by Duke Robillard, a true blues legend, and Michael Hill, one of New York City's greatest bluesmen the town ever produced. I got played on the House of Blues Radio Hour with Dan Aykroyd, not once but twice. Performed Chicago Blues Festival twice. I was out on the road on and off for 15 years in various bands that I put together. And it's a thing I kind of also had to give up because around 2009, I had a personal situation that led me to say, let me just set this aside for a while. And the truth of the matter about my music career, people ask me, why'd you stop? And I went, well, I just never went back. My life changed. I worked back in publishing again at that point. And I was very, very busy, and I just decided to take a break. And unfortunately, that break has been the rest of my life. I just, doing music is not easy. But in any event, again, I don't like the name drop, but this is all true stuff. I had a friend named B.B. King. You might have heard of him somewhere, And it's another fluke of my life that I got to know the man. And one of his best friends, and maybe the greatest blues singer of all time, was Bobby Blue Bland. And when they got together, it was magic on stage. And I've always felt, even though I never met the guy, a kindred friendship, a kindred spirit out there named Rod Bland, who is Bobby Blue Bland's son, who is moving ahead in his blues career, not only doing tributes to his dad, but establishing himself as one of the great young musicians in today's contemporary blues world. There's no question about it. His albums have won awards. He plays constantly. He's just a fantastic musician. Rod Bland from Tennessee Way. And I'll tell you what, I'm just going to give the whole show over to him tonight. This is a little different. You'll learn a little bit about me. You'll learn a lot about wrestling and how wrestling and the blues kind of commingle a little bit. But, every time I get a royalty check in the mail or I just bump into my music somewhere, I just realize how lucky I was. So I'm going to take a public shout out right now and thank some people along the way in my music career, like Jim Moran, Jerry Sorrentino, Mario Stiano, Michael John, Larry Mitchell, Bruce Rust, Dave Patrick, Dennis Cotton. On the list goes. Some people that really helped me along the way. I always said for a singer, you want to be the worst person in the band, and I always was, because I was surrounded by so much talent. You need to have a great band, and I honestly felt for a long time I really did. I came from nowhere. I did it because I wanted to do it. And it was hard. It was very hard. But every bit of it was worth it. I have no regrets at all. Made a lot of friends too. So they're my two careers, okay? So this show is going to intermingle those two careers. Because we're going to talk a lot of wrestling here, folks. Even I was shocked at how much Rod Bland knows about professional wrestling. It's scary. He's got like this steel trap mind that remembers stuff that he saw 20 years ago. It's incredible. So this is a special edition. One of the great musicians in the blues world. I am so honored to have him on the show. And so flattered. I would like to have him back soon because I had so much fun talking to him. But in any event, I hope you have fun and hear all the passion between the two of us once we start talking about wrestling and music. It's quite a story, and he's quite a musician. Enough of my yakking. Here is the one and only Rod Bland. As many of our fans here know, I was a blues musician on the road for 15 years and made 4 albums. And I'm very proud of the associations I had during that time period of my life, which was a blessing 100 times over. Because I got to know people like B.B. King and even perform with him on several occasions. But he's gone now. And I understand that Buddy Guy is retiring soon, at least from live performing. And we've lost so many of the giants like Bobby Blue Bland. Be of good cheer. Because contemporary blues lives on. And there's a whole new breed of new stars out there. And one of them happens to be the son of Bobby Blue Bland. His name is Rod Bland. And he's about as good as it gets. If you're lucky enough to go to Memphis, Tennessee, you will hear this man play at B.B. King's Club or maybe Lafayette's or maybe the Ghost River Brewery. He's a star. And I'll tell you what, it doesn't come any better than Rod Bland in contemporary blues. Rod, 1,000 thank yous for being on the show, man. It's such a pleasure.
Wow. Bob, thank you. Way to sell it and put me over. I appreciate it.
That's wrestling talk.
I don't know if you know this about me, but I'm quite the I'll go so far as to say Mark. Yes.
Well, that's why you're here, because the lovely Helena has told me a million times about your love of pro wrestling, but we'll get to that in just a minute. How are things going? How's the project? By the way, if you folks haven't picked up Rod Bland and the Members Only Band's album from a couple of years ago, Live on Beale Street, which is a tribute to the great Bobby Blue Bland, do yourself a favor and look it up, because this is it's a modern day classic, man. It's a beautiful album. Just 6 songs, but everyone's a killer.
Thank you. 6-song EP, all cut live at the BB King Blues Club. And a quick backstory: it was recorded May the 10th, 2019. And what's so significant about that is that's the day that my daughter, my Supergirl, graduated college from UT Knoxville. And I drove up to Knoxville late Thursday. I camped out, if you will, in Nashville with a friend. and got up around about 4 or 5 in the morning and drove the rest of the way. Made it there right before the ceremony began and got to see my little girl, who's not so little, graduate with honors. And, my mom was there. And, of course, her mom was there. And it's quite the family affair. And, the only person, really missing was my father. So at that time, that would have been the third Bobby Blue Bland tribute show that was scheduled to take place at the BB King Blues Club as a part of the Blues Music Awards uh, BMA festival on Beale. All the winners or whatnot that from the Blues Music Awards were playing the club, or there's something in conjunction with the Blues Foundation. So, going back a little bit further, in 2017, excuse me, they put a statue of my dad at Main and MLK, Main Street and Dr. Martin Luther King, right there at the corner, pretty much adjacent from the Orpheum Theater. And that was the first year that we did a tribute show to him in 2017. We did it again in 2018. And of course, now we fast forward to 2019. Thankfully, he's like a little brother to me, very close friend, Will Tucker, who is a pilot, flew to Knoxville in a small plane and picked me up from like a Knoxville airport, brought me back to Memphis. I got home for a quick load-in sound check, power nap, shower, get down to BB's, and we do the performance, which turned into this EP. And for those shows, we had guest vocalists that would come in, but the core always centered around Chris Stevenson, keyboard player, who I call cousin because he's like family to me, and Ashton Riker, who I play with normally on Thursday nights at the BB King Blues Club, and Jerome Chisholm, who's a good friend that leads the house band, the BB King All Stars. So those three individual vocalists are the ones that pretty much made the EP, in my opinion, come together full circle. And of course, great musicians: Harold Smith on guitar, Jackie Clark on bass, Mark Franklin, who played trumpet with my dad for years, off and on, Kirk Smothers, and I believe Scott Thompson also played trumpet on that night. Just, not to be super long-winded, but all these gentlemen helped me honor my dad, and that EP that was released in 21 got us a Blues Music Award in 2022 for Best Emerging Artist Album. So,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's my way of trying to help keep my father's name and legacy alive and thriving, because as we both know, the blues is looked at as a redhead stepchild, even though the blues is what yielded everything else: rock and roll, soul, you name it, there it is. So yeah, that again, sorry for being long-winded.
Oh, no. And I'm glad you mentioned the award, because I did know that and I neglected to mention. I should have said that about the EP, but yeah, man, it's a great piece of work. And
thank you so much.
I think it established you on the scene, both, well, everybody knows you in Memphis, but nationally, you know what I'm saying? It's like now more people are aware of what you're up to.
When I toured with my dad, I wasn't really trying to be, a named sideman. I just was, happy to be back in my father, because it's something I wanted to do as a small boy, which is play drums for my dad. So yeah, in that regard, it's been something. It's been great. I didn't mean to talk over you or cut you off. It's just that when it comes to, like I said, trying to keep my dad's name going, I don't want to be known as simply Bobby Blue Bland's son, or simply BB King's godson, or the guy that carried Lucille down the street for the funeral procession of BB. I want to be the guy. I want to be known for what I am. A musician who definitely loves the blues and embodies it, embraces it, knows that that's where I come from, but that's not where I'll remain.
But you
That
know
makes any
what?
sense.
The blues world needs you. And they need
Yes.
people like our friend Tony Coleman, and they need people that are emerging now in the Memphis scene to keep it up. Don't forsake it, because you know what?
Oh
Without
no.
without the blues, where would we be? It's like this is
Exactly.
this is important stuff, and it's the best music in the world, in my mind. So it's like
And we're not biased.
no,
We're not
no.
biased with that statement. We just, we mean that with every fiber of our being.
Hey, I was in high school, and a show came on PBS, the educational TV, and it was
Yes,
sound stage, and it was a tribute to Muddy Waters, and it changed my life. Right then and
I
there.
have.
I was buying Deep Purple and Grand Funk records, and I watched this show, and it showed a bunch of great musicians like Buddy Guy and Junior Wells and Johnny
Mhm.
Winter and Mike Bloomfield, and on it went, playing Muddy Waters songs back to him in a circle in the round. And I went, this is it. This
Wow.
is the stuff. And it changed my perception of everything in music from that point on. I'm telling you, it was my introduction to the blues, and I never looked back.
So I got a copy um, on DVD. How people like to bootleg DVDs and whatnot. I got a copy of Soundstage. I think the year was 77.
Mm-hmm.
My dad and BB. My dad did a set. Well, they filmed like maybe 3 or 4 tunes. BB had his set, and then my dad would later join BB on his set. Again, I guess this is at the height of the Together for the First Time or Together Again live,
Mm-hmm.
and it was just so cool just to see that, because I'd only seen like a small clip of it, on YouTube, and someone gifted me like a DVD complete with a nice little case, nice little artwork. Of course, the nice little artwork was just a reprint of the Together for the First Time record. So yeah, there's that. Um, and it's just so good. As a kid growing up and remembering seeing some of those guys as I, was a kid, like Joe Harden was there. He was my dad. Ultimately, my dad's final music director on trumpet. Melvin Jackson, right?
Right,
Let's see
right.
who else. My biggest source of inspiration, the guy that first put drumsticks in my hands. His name was Harold Portier. His nickname was Peony, and Peony was the guy that could play all the stuff that Jabbo did. He like basically could recreate it almost to a T, which is scary because you don't ever want to like you know carbon copy somebody, but like turn on your love light and don't cry no more. That's some difficult explicative to play.
Mm-hmm.
I will be 47 in November, and I still, on a good day, can half-ass everything that Uncle Jab, may he rest in peace, did. The bell on the ride cymbal and like the slight ghost note shuffle on the snare drum. Just, I looked at them one time at NAM. This was in 2000 when we reconnected, and I said, "You ought to be ashamed of yourself. What you talking about, nephew?" I said, "Man, can't nobody play that like you." "Well, what you talking about? Peony could play it." "I'm not Peony." "Nephew, let me tell you something. You can't play how I play. I can't play how you play. You got to play how you play, and I play like I play, and that's gonna be the end of that." And that was his way of saying, take the pressure off yourself,
Mm-hmm.
without saying take the pressure off yourself. So yeah, that's
You, you know,
those are my guys.
music is not a competition, or it shouldn't be. You know what I'm saying? It's like
There are
everybody
quite a
has.
few people that need to hear that. I
I
think you need to
know.
repeat that and say it
I,
louder.
listen. I had one of my guitar players in the band. We were jamming in Florida once, and he's going, "I'm going to kill all these guys on stage. I'm going to rip them apart." And I'm like, "That's the wrong attitude, dude." You know?
The old cutting heads trick.
Yeah, we're here to enjoy each other's groove. We're not here to just to show off and say I'm the best. A jam is supposed to be a collaboration, not a
Right.
fight.
Yeah. Now I will tell you this. Back in the day, I learned this as a kid in the mid '80s into until the present day when both bands pretty much came to their end. But there was more than friendly rivalry between both the Bobby Blue Bland Orchestra and the BB King Band. Like it was just funny. Like, all right, let's go to work. Whatever we did last night, when they weren't like on the same bill as last night. Tonight, we got let's get it. But the absolute worst was always Albert King because he would play before my dad before BB, and then the three of them would get together. And I'm sure you've heard Mr. Coleman make this impression, but Albert King would walk off stage. I would go out there just shit if I was y'all. I'd burn that stage up. It's a little too hot. Y'all might want to wait a minute. Right. But see, that was like the friendly camaraderie and just the iron sharpens iron. And so if Albert King's band comes out on stage and is smoking like that, you can't half-ass it in the Bobby Blue Bland band. And then if Blues band was killing, Blue gonna really get to singing, if you will. He's gonna do the thing that he's known to do. All right. What follows suit? Now the king has got to come on with it. You can't phone it in. Those three iconic titans wouldn't let the other rest on any type of laurel. Okay, so Albert was going to push Blue, Blue's going to push BB, and BB want to push them both off a cliff for making for making it work hard. But it was all out of love and mutual respect and admiration. And I think that's kind of like a lost art form in music. Now people, like you said, they just care about how many notes they can play and I'm going to kill this cat with my 5-string bass, or I'm going to, man, I cannot wait to like dial this Marshall stack up to 10 with my Les Paul. And then, there's some dude that's like, man, I'm going to kill them all with my Lars Ulrich double pedal crescendo, and they're not going to know what hit them. And all the while, the crowd's like, what the hell is this?
I hear you. I do. Hey, let me blow a little smoke at your dad, okay?
Yeah.
The first time I ever saw him was at that Westbury show. Right? He's a little advanced years, okay?
Yeah.
But he came out, sang his opener, and I think song number 2 was kind of like a slow romantic jam. And in my entire life, I have never seen an audience react like that to a singer. Ever.
Yeah, Blue was crooning.
What was it about him to make the ladies go, ooh? Because they did.
I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. It's that intangible X factor that you just can't put your finger on it.
That's it.
But as he would always say, I sing to the ladies, for the ladies, about the ladies. And he said, fellas, if you listen, it might be able to help you later on tonight. And that's just what he was. He was. I've heard these old board recordings and a couple of bootlegs where he was introduced by his then band leader MC Art Wilson as the Reverend Doctor Bobby Blue Bland, and it's like as soon as he would say that, you're like, not trying to sound like an ass, but to the average person, what? The Reverend Doctor? What is that? Maybe 2, 3 songs in, you got it. Because not only is he preaching something to you that you didn't know that you didn't know about, and then you didn't know that you needed to know. He is also, administering some form of healing to you, some care, or he could have like just verbally wrote you a prescription that you can't get filled at Walgreens, But
I like.
if you stop being hard headed and listen to your woman and do right by or for, she might fill that prescription for you. That's the best metaphor explanation I can give you as to why and how that man was the way he was on stage.
Well, I have a philosophy about both your dad and BB King in that I firmly believe with all my heart and soul they never sang a lyric or sang a note they did not believe with all their heart. Like when BB King would say, "Who really loves you? Guess who? Guess who?" and he's pointing at the
Mm-hmm.
audience, he meant it.
Yeah.
He meant. And when your dad sang a song like I'm off the top of my head, like I wouldn't treat a dog the way, you know, he meant that too.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can't fake emotion, and these guys didn't do it. They just came out and put their heart and soul on stage with every performance, and it's a standard. To be honest with you, I don't think anybody over top, and I mean that with all my heart and soul.
Yeah, I mean it is what it is, as the kids would say. Um you can't manufacture or fake true blues or true emotion in music, period. Um I'll segue to an extent. Look at Axl Rose in the early '90s during the Illusion era, and all the crap that seemed to follow him. That band cannot pull off or put on intense performances without an intense enigma or engine, you know, pulling that train, if you will. Like you got Slash, Stuff, Matt, Izzy, you know, and with Axel, it just you can't fake that. There's a thing. Um, you can even parlay that over to Zeppelin and the Stones, and God bless, Sir Charlie Watts.
Mm-hmm.
He held all that together, and I'm very proud of and happy that someone like my dear friend Steve Jordan got tapped to help the Stones carry on. You know,
Mm-hmm. Right.
I mean, and that's the same thing with the Foo Fighters. Taylor Hawkins, like, wasn't the original drummer, but he was the drummer of the Foo Fighters. And now, like, the phenom, Josh Freese, he's the guy that's helping to keep the Foos going. It's something when you're able to be that component to help something that might have faltered or was slowing down, but regain its composure and get back on track. So, much respect to both Steve Jordan and Josh Freese for like anchoring two iconic bands.
Yeah, it's a great point you just made right there. Let's talk a little wrestling. How's that sound? Because I think the
It
fans will be
doesn't matter how it's. I'm sorry.
That's right.
Used to
That's
rock.
right. I think the fans are going to be fascinated with how much you know about wrestling. Your reputation precedes you here. Tell me how you got into it. Well, first of all, you know what? When I played Beale Street for the concert I told you about with Coco Taylor
Yeah.
in Memphis, I visited Jerry Lawler on the wrestling set the day before. Jerry and I were friends.
Wow. Okay.
And
Cool.
and I had appeared on his show in the '90s, doing a little bit of an angle with the villainous wrestler called Leatherface. and we remained friends all those years later. And I came to Memphis. I said,
Oh
can
my
I come over
God!
and say, yeah?
Wait. I'm trying to think. Leatherface was not Sid Vicious. It was someone else.
Right. It was somebody else. It was tall, but it wasn't Sid.
Yeah.
But anyway, I came on the set in Channel 5, and I had a rare picture of Jerry Lawler and his old tag team. And here comes Leatherface, who saw the picture in half. So it
Oh
just started
man.
the feud between them, So it's like it's a cute little angle, We got it over, so it was pretty
So
cool. But
I
so
have to ask you
tell me
this.
what you've watched. You obviously were a Memphis wrestling fan, I would assume.
Oh God. Yeah. But real quick, before you shot the angle, did they make a copy of the photo, or is the original
No,
shredded?
I screwed up. I screwed up.
Oh my
He
God.
sawed it in half, and it was the only way we had at our office. Well, I was the managing editor of PWI, Pro Wrestling Illustrated magazine. That's how I got on
Did
the
not know
show.
that.
Yeah,
Did
that's
not
how I
know
got
that.
on that show. Yeah, this is why I do this show. Before my
Okay.
music career, I was with Pro Wrestling Illustrated for about 6.5 years. And
Wow.
I made a name for myself. And people, something, I moved on to different walks of life. I did the blues. I did
Uh-huh.
other things. I'm doing something else now. But my wrestling years will not let me go. It's like every time I try to get out of it,
Once you're in, you're in.
somebody pulls me back into it all the time, dude. So you know what? After years of fighting it, I said, the heck with it. I'm just going to go with it. So I started this crazy little podcast in January, and it's doing great. So it's like, if people remember me for that, who am I to say not to say thank you? Because it's like,
Right.
I'm amazed that the people remember me from the late '80s to early '90s. It was just about 6 or 7 years, but it refuses to let me go. And I think it's because I did a lot of TV, like I just explained to you. So to make
Yeah.
a long story short, that's how I got on Memphis Wrestling, because I was a guest for
Wow.
Pro
Okay.
Wrestling Illustrated and was there to present Jerry Lawler with a deal. So anyway, and then I went on the Jerry Lawler show the next day. He used to have a
Yeah.
Sunday morning
Sunday.
show. You remember that? I
Yeah.
was on that
Yeah.
show talking about Eric Embry. It was like, it
Oh
was fun. We
wow.
had a blast, man.
Primetime Eric Embry. Wow.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I just had to ask about the photo mainly because I still to this day want to know about the angle that The Rock and Austin did, where Willie Nelson had a signed guitar that The Rock was playing for the Rock concert, and Austin put his foot in it, and I was like, they had to have had, they had to silk screen Willie's signature and put on a different guitar. I know full well that, and so that's why I had to ask. But to answer your question originally, yes, lifelong well, since I was 7, 8 years old. My entry into pro wrestling was this. On the weekends, I used to like to go to my maternal grandmother's home and spend the weekend with her. Friday night, Saturday, come home, maybe Sunday, right? So I would have free reign of the TV. And she had cable. We're talking the old school cable where there's like 37 or 38 channels on a little box, and it goes, you slide it back and forth, right? So I'm watching all the cartoons on Saturday, the big bowl of cereal. I'm high on life, right? Living the high life. But I never ever got to watch Fat Albert on Channel 3 of the CBS affiliate, because it was 10 a.m. and it's like instantaneously she would pop up. Grandson, I got to see what Lawler did. I'm like, man, I'm a kid. I wasn't exposed to wrestling. I didn't know anything about it. So I'm sitting there watching, Lawler and Bill Dundee and handsome Jimmy Valiant, the worst tag team ever, Rough and Ready.
Rough and Ready. That's right.
I think they've won 2 matches. I think they won 2 matches total. And so, I kind of slightly got bit by the bug, and I knew that apparently when you've had all that you can handle, like Popeye would say, enough's enough, and I can't stand no more. you pull a strap down, and it's on, right? So me and my cousins cousins always play fight, wrestle, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So around about 11 or 12, my older cousin introduced me to the USA Network and what was then known as the WWF.
Right.
And I did, and there they were, the British Bulldogs. Oh my God, these guys, so cool, acrobatic. Ricky the Dragon Steamboat.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking, oh wow, he's got on like ninja. I'm like stupid ninja socks with their shoes with the big toe and the split and the rest of the toes. I'm like, this guy looks super cool, man. He's got big muscles, and next thing I know, there he was from Venice Beach, California, weighing at 315 pounds. Hulk Hogan. I'm like, that did it. Him and Junkyard Dog were having a tag match. I think they were up against, might have been Bundy and Stud, and that was it. And like on the weekends I didn't spend with my grandmother, I was watching wrestling. Drove my mom nuts. She hates it to this day. But fast forward, I'll catch her watching Friday Night SmackDown, asking me, what does acknowledge me mean?
Really?
Like, who is Roman Reigns? And so she popped on something Snoop Dogg was on TV talking about his cousin, Sasha. Who is his cousin? Sasha Banks. Snoop Dogg had a cousin in wrestling? Yeah. Oh, I didn't know. And so, you know,
So
I
she's turned a corner, I guess. She likes it too now.
yeah, and well, I'm not gonna go that far, but she's 78, and she's known to watch a little Friday Night SmackDown, and I remember the most recent SmackDown that was here. I was there, and she goes, "I saw you on TV. How did you get tickets to SmackDown?" I said, "Do you see those guys? The Usos? Yeah, yeah. Okay, that one right there. Uh huh. Well, I know his father-in-law. His father-in-law is a guitarist, singer based in Florida, Derek Mack, and his daughter, we know her as Trinity. Oh, but she's something else on TV. Yeah, she's Naomi on TV, but her government name is Trinity. And oh, so you got tickets from him? Yes, ma'am. And Derek called me 2 days before Mania this year. Man, you want to go to Mania? I was like, is it Barrett in the woods? Yeah. Man, I got ringside seats, but I can't go, man. I got this gig that's paying me way too much. I'm like, okay, uh, can't find a fight out that quick. That will not like put me in a sharpshooter.
Mhm.
And where am I gonna stay? And man, brother, I'd love to go, but I can't make it. So, and Raw's gonna be here in a couple weeks. Um, Matter of fact,
So you
in
actually
2 weeks.
you attend every show you can, apparently, right?
I try my best. I've been fortunate enough to. I've seen the Nitros when they were at the Coliseum, even a Thunder or two. I've seen Raw and SmackDown when they were at the old Memphis Pyramid. Now they're at the FedEx Forum. I saw SummerSlam last year. I was invited to go with a promoter named Julius Lewis, who runs the Blues is All Right tours every year. And I didn't know that Julius was a wrestling fan, and because we certainly didn't discuss it when we worked for him, we as my dad. And I was always known to have something wrestling wise on, whether it be a Sting Scorpion shirt or an NWO shirt or insert whatever rock shirt that I still had.
Mhm.
And I even had the Just Bring It track jacket he wore in 2011 when he's doing that. And so he asked me, "Do you want to go to SummerSlam?" I'm like, yeah. How much your tickets? Do you want to go to SummerSlam? That was code for shut the hell up. So I said, yeah, I want to go. So he had an RV and we drove up to Nissan Stadium, and he had a skybox. And like I watched, Mania from a skybox, and Mania SummerSlam from the skybox,
Mhm.
and thoroughly enjoyed myself. And I remember I DM'd Becky Lynch like, "Hey, I'm like here. Any chance that I can get this gift bag to you that I've been?" And she's like, "We'll see what we can do." And I'm like, understand, no worries if not possible. The Becky Lynch thing is, I, follow her on Instagram, and she had posted about being in Seattle, and she was at the studio where Pearl Jam cut 10. And I was like, commented like, "Hey, Dave Cruz and meet Becky Lynch." Much like me, huge fan of Pearl Jam, and whatever, left it alone. And Dave responds back to her, and then I get a DM from her and a follow from her, and like I'm like, holy crap, Becky's following me and DMing me, and I'm like, I just I'm a fan of Pearl Jam, she's a fan of Pearl Jam, like, hey, whatever. And so we've exchanged nice messages and whatnot. I was so freaked out when she got concussed
Right, right.
that night. With the week of Survivor Series when she was supposed to go 1-on-1 with I think she's supposed to work with Rousey that night for Survivor Series in 18 or whatever.
Mhm.
It turned out Charlotte had to take her spot, but she's like, yeah, I'm fine, but thanks for checking, blah blah blah. I remember I saw Seth and their daughter walking down on Main Street. I said, "Are you here?" I just like something. Yeah, they they have to come everywhere with me wherever I go. It's like, sorry, I missed you, but next time I'm like, all right, cool. So yeah, huge mark for wrestling.
Wow.
And
I
I read this story. I don't mean to cut you off. We're both fans of Dusty Rhodes, I presume. Yes,
Yeah.
and we all know the notorious Gary Hart. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Same promoter that took me to SummerSlam apparently discovered that in Gary Hart's book that Gary and Dusty were working on trying to do some kind of event, and I think this is in the early 70s. Gary wanted to bring my dad in to perform and have Dusty sing a couple songs with him. And Dusty was like, "I think I can handle it on my own. I don't need nobody else, baby." And I was like, what the hell? My dad and Dusty Rhodes could have met. And I find this out right after I meet Cody Rhodes. I
Yeah.
met Cody. I met Cody when AEW worked in South Haven. This was in January 2020. There's a photo of Cody rocking some Project Rock stuff, and I was, man, I really am a fan, and just really tried to like be super cool and not be like, oh my God, you and your brother and your dad, and my business partner, Kenneth Wheat Robinson, has often said, I see similarities between Cody Rhodes and you. I'm like, how so? I kind of had an idea of where he would go, but I wanted to see how close we would be in this assessment. Dusty is well known, but Dusty didn't get to enjoy all the accolades that a Ric Flair or Hulk Hogan got, right? There's some things that Dusty didn't get to do that those guys did, right? BB is a lot like Ric Flair, and my dad is a lot like Dusty Rhodes. Like BB could even be Hogan, right?
Mhm.
when you think, if you're a wrestling fan, when you think wrestling, you're going to think about Flair. You're going to think about Hogan. You should think about Dusty, but Dusty might kind of slip through your mind, if you will, no pun intended. If you think about blues, you're gonna think about you got to think about BB. You're gonna think about Muddy Waters. You're gonna think about Albert King. You're gonna think about all the guys that quote unquote are known in addition to also being having a guitar with them. My dad had a microphone with him. The
Right.
microphone was his instrument. Well,
You,
his voice
you know,
was his instrument.
you make a great point because that's what I did too. I just sang. So it's like, you're right. There aren't that many individual blues singers out there when you really think about it. I mean, just the one person known for being a singer. It's a rarity, isn't it?
It's an anomaly. I okay, male wise, yeah, I can only think really blues. I can only think of my dad.
Yeah. Yeah.
No disrespect to Johnny Taylor or Tyrone Davis, but they're more of a R&B,
R&B. Yeah.
right? But
Mhm.
you know, if you don't have a guitar or harmonica, they're gonna just say they'll stick you in blues nonetheless. You know, but the women of the blues, your Coco Taylors and your Ruth Browns
Mhm.
and Katie Webster, Etta James. These iconic women
Shamika.
had Shamika Copeland. Now, to me, I'd go so far since we're talking wrestling. I'd say Shamika is the Charlotte Flair of the blues.
I can't argue with that. I hear you. I get it.
You
Like
know,
always there, always
yes,
superb, always on top of
in
her
the
game.
in the title picture.
Mhm. Right, always. If she's not the
Always
champion,
sharp.
she's the number 1 contender, absolutely.
Exactly my point.
Mhm.
And now I guess when I conclude this conversation with you, I'm going to spend some time and like think about like some of the guys that are in guys and girls, men and women, excuse me, that are in blues. Like if they were to be a wrestler, who would they be? Like I would. Part of me wants to think that Jimmy Vaughn.
Mhm.
Part of me wants to say Jimmy something
Mm.
like an Arn Anderson
Yeah, the rock
and
solid, not
endur
flashy guy. Right,
and
right,
and also enduring.
right. That's really a good one. That's a
Uh,
great one. Yeah, yeah.
okay, here's one more, and then we'll get back on topic. Kenny Wayne Shepherd, Chris Jericho.
I was thinking, Shawn Michaels, but I get it, that type, you
Well,
know?
not I don't put the Shawn on him
Mhm.
because Shawn has stepped away twice.
Right, yeah, yeah. You're talking more
Okay,
current. Mm.
No, but like Jericho has gone through so Jericho has adapted with the times, and so has Kenny Wayne Shepherd.
Right.
Remember the big blues explosion re-explosion in '96?
Mhm.
Kenny and Jake Andrews and
Yeah.
Johnny Lang and uh, those were the top three at the time. Um, he's still going
Right, right. Nothing
and
stops him.
shows no signs of slowing down.
No. Even
Look at
did that project with Steven Stills a few years ago.
yeah, and
The ro
so look at Chris Jericho.
Mhm.
There you go. And
Yep.
just by default, because of what I said earlier, yeah, I'd like to fashion myself after Cody. But I'd like to fashion myself after Cody, but I'm such a mark that I'm probably gonna keep it closer to the Samoan dynasty. So someone like Roman or The Rock. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Yeah, Cody all the way.
Yeah, well, you got the shirt on, so.
No, I am feeling Usi. I am feeling Usi
There it
on
is. I
this
wish you
on the
folks could see
spine
it.
on the spine Wednesday night.
Now, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
You hit that sweet spot as a wrestling person between old school and what's going on today.
Yes.
How do you feel about today's stuff versus the old stuff? Is one better or is one worse? Or do you think it's just modern times calls for a different kind of show like they have now?
I'm going to steal a lyric from Pearl Jam. It's evolution, baby. Do the evolution. Everything what worked in the 80s and 90s and early 2000s, we had less distractions. I get distracted to this day watching the product because I have a I have a smartphone nearby. I have an iPad nearby, a computer. I'm watching this stuff via an iPad connected to a TV.
Right.
It's not we don't have destination programming like we used to. Like, Saturday night's main event, you parked your took us in front of that TV by 10:25 to catch the last 5 minutes of your local news here in Memphis, and then you did the most beautiful sound to me ever. Tonight's Saturday Night Live is being preempted by Saturday night's main event. Like,
Right.
whoo, right? Because it was like one Saturday a month. But watching the Steiners versus the Road Warriors for the first time,
Mm-hmm.
I thought, wow. But my one of my all time, I can watch it to this day. And again, it's the Steiners, but
Right.
from Super Brawl '91, the Steiners versus Sting and Luger. That's the first time you had four faces against one another,
Mm-hmm.
and that match was so awesome. And I remember, like, flashing back to that time in '91, I was like, yes, Sting and Luger are finally going to become tag team champions. Luger's going to have the U.S. title and the tag team title with his best friend Sting. I don't know, I'm not smartened up as to why things happen the way they happen or don't happen. I don't know anything. I'm green. Wink, wink. And I was so pissed off at Nikita Koloff for like interrupting that match and blah blah blah. But all that did, the Steiners got the tag team titles.
Mm-hmm.
Luger was transitioning. I did have a feeling that Luger was next up to be champ because Sting was world champ the year before. Um, so you had to get the Flair and Tatsumi Fujinami thing straightened out, and then Luger was just going to ascend. Right? It was 91 was Luger's time, which ultimately it happened, just
Right.
not the way we all thought it would have.
Mm-hmm. Hey,
So you don't.
that's my sweet spot, man. That's when I was working at the magazines in that period, right? Right, what you're talking about.
I used to buy. My mom hated it, but whenever I had like an extra $5 or $10, sometimes 15, it was three new magazines, and I used to do the drawing and stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
that was my huge mark. So you fast forward like the Attitude Era stuff is great. Uh, obviously you had to tone all that down as time went on because you had the guys that were trying to work, you know, when they could barely function. But if I love the Shawn Michaels Shelton Benjamin match from Raw where I thought Shelton easily broke his jaw taking that super kick from Shawn. He springboarded like Brian Pillman used to with the clothesline, but and just ate every bit of Shawn's right foot. And it was like, wow, sudden impact. Okay. The matches Edge and John Cena had. Because by this time, I'm a little bit more educated and I kind of get the storytelling aspect. My favorite Austin Rock match was the finale. And it was it was so so much drama. I told a girl recently, I don't do drama in my life, but damn it, I will do drama and wrestling.
They
You know,
can't avoid it these days.
yeah, but like it
It's a
just
big part of it.
and the way that the match ended, that it took three rock bottoms, and the way that he hit the second and then ultimately the third rock bottom,
Hmm.
and then breaking character and or the fourth wall, sitting up in the ring talking to Austin. Had no clue what was going on then, right? I mean, I kind of got the feeling he's telling Austin something that only he needs Austin to hear. And then when you watch the WrestleMania 20 rewind thing, and they're working on 19, talking about 19, um, you get it. Like Austin, his last act of service. I'm going to do this. Rocky put me over when I needed him to in the previous manias. It was one of those things where it was just great to see, but you didn't know what was going on. And like, even to this day, like if I were to watch that again, I'd get, a little emotional knowing that I know that you'll never see those two guys do that the way they did. Um,
True. True.
the first match, The Rock and Cena had in Florida, I felt that one. Um, Second one, not so much because I knew what was going to happen. Of course, I was praying for a swerve because let's face it, Rock didn't have the best Mania track record, win loss. The one that I've spoken so much about WWE. Let's go back to WCW. Uh, I don't know what the deal was between for the count for Sting and Hogan at Starcade, but when Sting, you know, when Brett rang the bell, had the bell rang for to signal that Sting won, and the way Sting stood up and like brushed his hair back, and the way he jumped into, I think it was the Giants' arms, and just like the look on his face. I'm 46 and a half years old. I still catch a slight tear because like I was invested when I watched that match at my buddy's apartment, reliving all of fall of 96 to winter of 97. Like that was like the best setup. He never spoke a word and didn't speak a word until like January of 98 when he pointed a bat at Hogan and said, JJ Dillon said, "You got no guts," and looked at Hogan and said, you're a dead man. And then he turned and walked out of the little press conference. I'm like, this is great storytelling.
Hmm.
It's just, that's my thing. Um,
Man, you're making me fall on the floor, dude. You're no ordinary civilian.
and
I'm telling you, you're
I
coming on a
told you
wrestling show, and you have an encyclopedic memory for these
I'm a
big matches.
mark.
It's
I'm a mark.
amazing,
I'm,
astounding.
okay, as a kid, I'll give you another one that messed me up. When Barry Windham turned on Luger to join the Horsemen, and then you fast forward to it's Dusty and Barry at the Great American Bash. I thought as a kid that Barry was Dusty's kid, but then like I knew, yeah, it's the equivalent to like me being considered one of BB's kids, if you will, right?
Right.
So it's like when Barry put Dusty down after Ronnie Garvin knocked him out, after just helping his brother, gorgeous Jimmy Garvin, rescue Precious in that god awful Tower of Doom match that they resurrected like 2 more times. It's like, what? No, because. But I thought, and I will stand by the statement till the day I die. Barry Windham was the perfect fourth horseman.
You can't argue with that. I agree with that. In fact,
Flair,
in my eyes, he was the
Arn,
last horseman.
yeah, Flair, Arn, Tully, Wyndham, JJ.
Mm-hmm.
That's my four horsemen.
Yes, it's everybody's four horsemen. Yeah.
Like, I think Luger was brought in as to get him ready to become a face. Looking back on it now.
Right.
I dug the fact that when they tried to revive the Horsemen in '89, I know that the story is Sting's involvement with the Horsemen does not count. He was never an official member. But if we could have had Flair, Arn, Tully, Ole as the JJ Dillon as the manager, which he was doing,
right,
and then Barry Windham was coming. Barry Windham made it back spring of '90 after that failed Widowmaker run, right? And you would have thought Barry leaving the way he did in '89 that he'd have some momentum. The Widowmaker thing. I like the prefix, but Barry Windham is a known guy. Yeah, you did not make him, but he's a known guy, Vince.
Well, Vince had this magic touch of botching character changes left, right, and sideways. Red Roosters, and how many great wrestlers did he blow it with?
Terry Taylor was. I remember watching Terry Taylor in the UWF, visiting my grandma, my dad's mom, in a nursing home. That's how I discovered UWF.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I discovered Hacksaw Jim Duggan before he became Hacksaw Jim Duggan. With a 2x4 and nothing but blue on blue,
right?
On blue. That's how I discovered Eddie Gilbert, Sting, Rick Steiner, Missy Hyatt. I kind of knew Dark Journey a little bit from WCCW.
Right.
But Terry Taylor, Ron Simmons.
What was that exactly?
The first man of color to truly be world champion.
Mm-hmm.
And you put like a blue Nerf helmet on him.
Yeah, exactly right.
And you got him walking around with like
Farouk.
Yeah. And so I'm just glad that, hey, but as Ron would say, hey man, they gave me something, and you know what? I made it work for me. I made that work for me. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And hey, yeah. Love Ron Simmons. I remember watching Ron when he was like, before he started wearing long tights. Again, when the UWF was being absolved into NWA, he came in, '88 on TBS. It was great stuff.
I thought Ron Simmons was going to be the next Bruno Sammartino in terms of he would hold the title for 6 to 8 years. I was serious.
That would have been great.
I honestly thought that he had the masculine charisma of a Bruno Sammartino. You know what I'm saying? The type of stellar athlete, stellar background, stellar personality, stellar intellect. Just one of those guys born to do what he was doing. And I was shocked when they took the belt off him so fast. But then again, that was Jim Herd and all this other. Oh God, I didn't want to talk about it.
Yeah, I've heard less than stellar glowing words about Mr. Herd because he is older than me, from our beloved, illustrious 16-time world champion of the nation, Ric Flair. Right. I'll say this. If Ron Simmons could have had the ultimate mouthpiece, if Ron Simmons could have had our modern day Paul Heyman, not Paulie Dangerously,
but Paul Heyman. That's just the difference. You're right.
Yeah. Paulie Dangerously was the psycho yuppie from New York. Paul Heyman is a well-versed, articulate, well-spoken genius. He's an advocate one moment, now he's a wise man. If guys like your Ron Simmons, if we could have had someone paired with him, I would dare say you're right. Ron could have held the title. He could have been the first. He could have been our, for black people, our Bruno San Martino.
Yeah.
Because I thought as a kid growing up, it was highway robbery that the Junkyard Dog never held a title that I knew of. Not a major title. I know he, and I've got the old Mid South DVD, but even Butch Reed held some Mid Atlantic titles, and the fact that for as much crap as Bill Watts gets for his politics and his beliefs, he sure did do a lot for black wrestlers.
There's no question about it. Well, I agree with your statements about Bill Watts, but he also knew who his audience was.
Yeah.
He didn't neglect a large segment of the viewing public who was watching his federations at that point.
So all he did was do what was right. Excuse me. All he did was do what was best for business.
Oh, I've heard that before.
Right?
Right.
So quick story, segue. I'll make this really brief.
Okay.
In 2009, which was the last time that BB played the club, he played on Monday and Tuesday. Tuesday, the WWE were filming SmackDown at the FedEx Forum. I went to that SmackDown. I took my then girlfriend and her 2 kids, and we walked by the BB King Club. I was getting them home. I took them home, and I had to get to my gig in Midtown. I learned the next day that Vince, Hunter, Steph, and I think I can't remember who else. They went to watch BB play after SmackDown ended. And as legend would have it, Vince paid everyone's tab. Now, when I say everyone, we're talking everyone that was in attendance to watch BB. Vince picked up the tab.
Incredible.
So I learned the next day, and my mom calls me, and she's like, "How come you didn't come say hi to BB? He was asking about you." I said, "Well, Mom, I told you I took, Crystal and the kids to go see SmackDown, and I had a gig." "Oh yeah, I met the wrestler, man," because my mom doesn't know anything about wrestling, right? And so when she says the wrestler, man, I'm thinking, oh, she met Jerry Lawler. "Yeah, I met him and his daughter." I said, "Whoa, you met Vince?" "Yeah, Vince and his daughter." "You met Stephanie, the $1 billion princess?" "Uh-huh." It's like, I said, "Okay, that's cool." I hung up the phone. I was ranting and raving and cussing like I called myself all different kind of MFs, and I was like, I could have met Vince and Stephanie and pitched a couple ideas because I had an idea for a character, right? Not a wrestler, but like I was going to be a hybrid of me, who I am, yeah, a guy that kind of works out. I got a little bit of a body, and Slick, the Doctor of Style, Slick,
Right.
like a guy that talks a lot of trash, but I wouldn't be a chicken crap heel. I wouldn't mind taking my lumps or the bumps, right?
Right.
And I had a name and everything. RB Smooth, because they don't they weren't exactly big on using your real name,
Mhm.
but RB Smith, I was ready. That was my thing. Send me down to get trained or whatever, but that's what I wanted to do. And so, as fate would have it, I did not get to meet Vince and Hunter and Steph. But I have
Mhm.
had my fair share of meetings and not run-ins, but meetings of a lot of the guys and girls with the WWE. I've met Miz, Dolph, Ziggler, Mojo a couple times. Finn Balor in the gym. Um, I met Becky before we became Instagram buddies.
Right. Mhm.
Charlotte as well. Same night, actually. We had to take separate photos because they were in a feud. Uh, Bailey and Samoa Joe, Emma, met a lot of people. I got a great photo of me with Nia Jax, Paige, and Alexa Bliss at Blue City Cafe.
You're blowing my mind, man.
I warned you I was a mark.
I'd never
I
dreamed you were this much of a fan. I mean, I knew
I
you were a fan, but you
I
are
warned you.
in
I'm a
it.
mark. I'm a
You're
mark.
in it, Jack. I mean, I am pleasantly surprised. I think this is really awesome. Really
Thank
great.
you. Thank you.
Now, hype yourself, will you? How can people get a hold of you in social media, where you're playing, what you got going on? Give yourself a
Okay,
commercial.
I'm an easy guy to find. We have a website, roddbland.com, roddbland.com. I am on Instagram at the Rod Bland, TheRoddBland. Also, the project, Rod Bland and the Members Only Band, RB and the MOB. You can find us on Facebook under that name, RB and the MOB, Instagram, YouTube at Rod Bland, at RB and the MOB. We are everywhere.
And you're very busy playing live in Memphis, aren't you?
Yeah, I have Thursday, tomorrow night, the BB King Blues Club, Ashton Riker and the Memphis Royals. You know what? On second thought, I think I'm going to be off this weekend after Thursday. But usually one Sunday a month at Lafayette's Music Room, Sunday Fun Day. Uh, yeah, I post my calendar at rodbland.com
Nice
or
website, by the way. Really slick
thank you.
website. That's
Thank you.
really well designed, and it's easy to navigate, which I appreciate. So that's
Thank
pretty
you.
cool.
And again, there's also rbandmob.com. That's essentially about the project, and we're working on editing some content. We recently played Antones in Austin, Texas, which was
Wow,
a great venue for both my dad and BB, and as part of their 48th anniversary of the club being open, and is Susan Antone was there. Gary Clark Jr.'s parents were there. That meant a lot to me that they were there.
mhm.
And we ran through a review of a lot of my dad's songs as played by us, sang by Chris Stevenson on keys and Ashton Riker as well. We there was one guy that kept yelling out third song in, ain't no love in the heart of the city. It's like, yeah, well, it okay. And then another guy yelled out like members only and said, okay, uh, we'll do that. When it's your time to sing, you sing with us. Yeah, okay, all right. When it's your turn, you sing with us, but from wherever you're sitting right now. And then we did another another guy yelled out 36-38. I was like, whoa, she wasn't that big. It was 36-22-36.
Oh
So,
man.
and of course, I managed to, share some stories about my father and, speak about him from a son's perspective. Because, that's what Rod Bland and the Members Only Band is about. It's a tribute show to him and making sure that my mantra is well in place. Honor thy father.
Well, you're doing a great job of it. Great, and you
I
know what? You
appreciate
got
it,
the
Bob. Thank you.
you got the award to prove it.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
and believe it or
saying, right?
not,
You
I got Living Blues magazine in 22 also named me musician of the year for drums, and I'm currently nominated for percussionist of the year with Blues Blast magazine. So
hey,
we've still
listen.
got a little bit of traction from the EP.
Hey,
So we'll.
I didn't say you're a contemporary blues star without looking it up. You know, you know that. You know what I'm saying? I can't come out and say something unless it's true. My listeners will have a field day with that. So no, I gotta come correct. You know what I'm saying?
Right, I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and I appreciate you being here, man. It's great meeting you finally.
Yeah,
We'll talk again. I think we should talk again and
yeah. We
get
need
your
to
perspectives on stuff.
we need to discuss SummerSlam. I saw some of your Facebook posts, and I got some thoughts as well. So we
All
definitely
right,
need to.
meet me
And I
over
need
there
to.
first, and we'll yell at each other or something like that.
I definitely need to get back acclimated to AEW as well,
Yeah,
so we can discuss all the things.
right, right. Well, anyway, what a conversation. What a musician. What a
Thank
fan.
you.
Rod
Thank you.
Bland, everybody. You can't listen. The album again, I hype this. It's with the members only band live on Beale Street, a tribute to Bobby Blue Bland. It is a modern blues classic. Check it out. I'm
Thank
sure
you
you
so
can hear
much.
it wherever records are available. And I'm telling you what, it's been an honor to have you on the show.
Thank you. Also available on all of your digital streaming platforms, Apple Music, Google, Tidal, whatever you stream from, we're there.
Yep. And you know what? I still think the best is yet to come. You got
Thank
a
you
lot
so
up your
much.
sleeve. I can smell it. You know what I'm saying?
You
There's
smell
more to
what the
come.
rod is cooking.
There it is. There it is. Rod Bland, everybody. Thanks again, man.
Thank you, Bob.
I'm so crazy excited that I just recorded a finish for the show and I'm scrapping it because I left half the stuff I needed to put into it out of it. Oh, baby. Oh. In any event, I may be a little loopy right now, but it's only because I'm excited. You know, it was an exciting time to interview a star like that, and just a great musician, great guy, Rod Bland. Everybody, just so excited about this particular show. I don't know how this was going to do amongst the wrestling intelligentsia out there, but you know what? This one's for me. You know, this is for me. I've been meaning to talk to this gentleman for a long time, and I had a great time, and I hope you had a fun time listening to it. And the reason I'm re-recording it is I forgot another musician, Brian Teo, who plays our intro and outro theme called "Hold On a Sec," and I wanted to make sure I got a plug in for him on today's show. So there you go, Brian. I don't want to skip you. Contact us, won't you? We have a lot of stuff coming in. We're got real special shows every week for you. Facebook, I'm Bob Smith. And on the lead page, you can see me singing with BB King. You see, I can't get away from it. You know, same way I can't get away from wrestling. The wrestling and the blues, that's me. A little comedy mixed in, but our website where you can find out everything you need to know about the Outdated Wrestling Hour fan club. For a nominal fee, you can help support the show and hopefully join us for tea, don't you know? Not the kind that's made so barbarically. We prefer red rose tea, don't you know? Red rose, red rose. Swinging red rose tea. Anyway, it's outdatedwrestlinghour.buzzsprout.com. All the shows are listed there, and you may choose whichever one you'd like to listen to without the use of an app. Of course, we're also available everywhere your podcast can be heard, so don't forget that either. But I'm finding a lot of my older fans, my older friends, just like the website. So it's outdatedwrestlinghour.buzzsprout.com. Email outdatedwrestling@gmail. Write to us. Any questions you may have. I just got a really nice couple of letters. I'm going to talk about those next week, I think. I want to thank the people who wrote. I used to list a couple of the other social media platforms. I'm not going to do those anymore. I'm just going to say Facebook and Gmail. I think that's good enough. Why confuse people? Why give you a laundry list of stuff to remember? Just Facebook, Bob Smith on Facebook, Outdated Wrestling at Gmail. Just like that. Anyway, I want to thank you for enjoying, hopefully, this very long show tonight. And we've got a lot of good stuff coming up for you in the future weeks. Hang with us. I'm having a blast. I hope you are too. And I want to thank everybody for listening. Our numbers of late have been, I can't ask for more. I don't look at the ratings a whole lot, but this past couple of shows have been doing quite well, and I couldn't ask for more. I really couldn't. Considering I'm pretty much working this project by myself. In the beginning, I was thinking about getting a co-host, but I don't even want to hear the word co-host anymore. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, this is Bob Smith, asking you to do what I ask you to do every week now. Take care of yourself, will you?